Okay, so you are felting the knots away.
I'm felting the knots onto the wrong side of the windows.
So that you can't see where you've put them.
Yeah, so I think that looks a lot neater.
It does.
Yeah. Right. So the window, what were your thoughts about Saturday?
So first of all, I thought it went exceptionally well. And the feedback I got from... Sorry, let me look at the camera. The feedback I got from everyone was... Jamie was very touched by the show of support.
Yeah, I thought the support was good.
Yes.
And I think it was also who came.
Yes. She saw a lot of different people from different backgrounds and different personalities that instead of coming here and picking and not getting on, everyone just put aside all differences and just got on perfectly.
Yeah, it was good, considering you had sharp objects.
Absolutely. Sharp objects.
Strong personalities.
A thorny subject.
Strong personalities.
Yes.
Quite a lot of strong personalities. But I do think what was also fabulous was the fact is that everybody was willing to try something new, because most people hadn't learned any of their skills before.
And people arrived not knowing what was expected of them.
Yeah, I think next time it'll be different.
It'll be much easier.
Yeah, because they'll be quite smug because they'll be showing someone else.
And I liked that Bettina and Jordan embraced what they were given and just suddenly started teaching everyone.
Yes.
In fact, everybody who'd done something just suddenly was able to teach somebody else what they had done. Yeah, peg looming was great.
Peg looming was a big
awesome.
hit. I sort of wonder how many people are going to order a peg loom, and there's going to be lots of scarves for Christmas gifts.
Because you don't have to do that with threads of fabric.
No, you can do it. You can do it with anything.
Cotton,
basically anything.
Even those big balls of unspun thread.
Yeah.
You can do it with that.
So
it's really great.
That was good. That was good. I think my surprise for the day was Julie felting better than me.
Yes.
But then Julie is a nurse. Okay, so she's used to sticking sharp objects in people. So we decided that was the reason she took to it so naturally. Okay.
Okay.
I'm just saying it, Julie, because it's out there now.
Okay. Con run, con hard. It is what it is.
I thought the windows of hope were really good.
Yes.
And I think for people that weren't confident about their creativity, I think they could. It was a good framework to start with.
And it shows also how simple a concept weaving is.
Yeah, its ancient roots is why we chose it, but actually it was because we chose it because of the conceptual reasons as well. But I mean, I think it was so harmonious with the actual day.
Yes,
it was the right skill set.
And it's a concept that's been taught to children and grandchildren through time. Almost immemorial. It's almost like I don't even know how far back weaving goes, but carpets, clothing, blankets, so much has been done by weaving things, and we're still weaving woolen garments and everything today, and our fabric, everything's done with the concept of weaving. So it's the base of society, isn't it? Your cats have left bits of themselves in here, by the way.
Yes, I know. I think there's a piece of Rachel's hair as well.
Yes, there is. So I don't know. I think that the whole idea of all the dyeing of the different colours for the window of hope, I think we need to just quickly mention that. I think we need to talk about that for a few minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Because originally Michele wanted to use... Originally she went foraging for berries in the New Forest. She took Karis with her. Did you take Becca?
No, it was just Karis and Mark, her dad, yeah.
Right, okay.
And Dave.
And Dave, right.
Yeah.
So the four of them went foraging in the New Forest for some berries, and they dyed some of the alpaca... Well, no, it wasn't alpaca. You dyed cotton.
Although we did dye some of the alpaca and
with the same berries. Okay,
yeah.
But originally, when the concept was still just an idea, in fact, that's what
That's what a concept is.
When it was I'm glad you explained that to us. I feel so enlightened.
So when we very first started speaking about it, and you decided what the picture was going to be, the art piece was going to look like, then you decided you were going to use natural fibres and you were going to use natural dyes, and then you went to forage, you came home with the berries and you dyed those pieces of cotton. Mm-hmm. So I remember those pictures, and I think they weren't vibrant enough for a window of hope.
They wouldn't have been vibrant enough for Window of Hope, and I'm not saying we couldn't have got it, but we needed to work within a time frame because the summer was coming to an end.
Yes.
So we just needed to basically be realistic.
Yes.
So as a result, I then did a massive amount of YouTubing and found that you could use food dyes, and they're just as colour fast and they're non-toxic.
Yes, and they're natural. Food is natural.
So we use those definitely for the Window of Hope. A lot of the other is either natural or is still done with the berries. One of the greys is done with mystery berries, which we still don't know what they are. We just know they make rubbish wine.
Hence they mystery. And did the wine actually, was it?
I don't know. It was rubbish. That's all I know from Dave.
So
I think he's I think he's emotionally scarred.
Right. It's headache producing wine.
Probably.
Okay, so there was the mystery berries, which we don't know what they are.
But
we may find out one day.
And they're from Hangsbury Head, if anybody knows what we're talking about, or I can send you some pictures.
I think we put them on Facebook.
Yeah, we did put them on berries on there.
So we've got mystery berries, and they made the grey, didn't they?
They made one of the greys, because there's multiple shades of grey.
But then you also used your lavender from your garden.
Yeah, that
made a grey too.
Yeah, and that's actually the one that I've just woven this afternoon into the tapestry. I think there was a lot of things, although whenever doing a community art project, you have to do so much on the fly.
Yes.
You make a lot of decisions on the fly. I think one of my favourites is going to be Jordan's beading.
I think we need to talk about that for a minute, just for a minute.
Because she did this amazing. I realised from a colour point of view is that we had the idea of having very subdued tones at the top and then the colourful window panels, and then we wanted a sort of colourful beaded border. So we got a beading loom for that. And then I thought, actually, we've got to knock back the colour, so it can't be that colourful. But I think somewhere in the there was misinterpretation, and I'm rubbish at explaining. I know that, Jordan. Okay. But what we landed up with was not what I wanted, but it was really fantastic.
It was lovely.
It's fantastic. So
very creative,
and I think it's going to look, actually, it's going to work. It's going to do the job. So bizarrely, we landed up by allowing space for each individual to have their own creativity. I think that worked really well. From an art point of view, it's a bit scary.
Yes.
But we it's almost like everybody brought the right stuff to it.
Yeah. So I don't. If I crochet a blanket, I start off with an idea of what I want it to look like, and I go and I pick my colours.
Yes.
And I know what the pattern's going to be beforehand. Usually. Sometimes I don't, and I just wing it. Or I make a lot of mistakes, and I put those mistakes into a pattern and
make a feature of them.
And then I do all the squares the same, or I do all the rows the same. So for me, that's my art is to do it, but it's all my work. I never farm it out to anyone else.
Yeah.
So I think this is the first time you've ever farmed out a piece of art to anyone else.
Yeah, definitely in recent years. I've worked on other community projects, but I have not in this way. And also trying to have, I think for people trying to have some ownership of it as well, that they've invested some of their own creativity makes it really important.
Yes.
And I think also for the subject matter, because I think a lot of people, from what we gained, from what and the messages we've had, is people gain some kind of confidence in their own abilities.
Yes.
And like everything, nobody's ever good at everything.
No.
So some people definitely succeeded better in some parts than others.
Yes, and those that were good at what they did showed others how to do it, didn't they? But getting back to this whole thing of others investing some of themselves into this art project, this at the end of the day is your art piece. It was your concept, it was your idea, it was your
You're saying I'm to blame.
It was your art piece. I'm not blaming you for anything. It was your art piece from the beginning. So I'm asking you now, I want to know from you, how do you feel about other people's contribution going into your art piece? How do you feel about that?
I absolutely love it. I love the fact that it's a collaboration. So, there's nothing worse than people doing something and you think, well, I could have done better, But there's not. I really don't genuinely have that feeling, because I feel everybody. Sorry, by the way, there is Rachel's hair there. I just seen it now.
Felt it.
Yes, we'll have to felt it in. Yeah, I really feel that it was a case of everybody brought something that I wouldn't perhaps have put in. Becca and Karis, and then they were later helped by Thomas and Theo and Bettina and Jordan, as far as doing the warp threads, which is just really boring.
And it's a big job.
It's a big job. It's 240 warps, and then still doing the crocheted ones and doing some of the colour ones, and then, and we had this really funny thing where I think Thomas didn't quite get that we were looking to have different colour beads, and so he was going through all the fuchsia pink beads, going boring, because they were all fuchsia pink. Like that. The idea is that you go and fetch some other colour beads as well from the bead bar. But
and I think Dave caught some of that on video.
Yes, he did.
He said this project is sounding very boring.
And it was Tom craving a bit more colour than pink.
Yes.
So yeah. But I thought even their selection of beads are not my selection, and when I'm weaving, I have to work around them. But they eventually decided that they were selecting planets, because a lot of the beads were swirled.
Yes. And colours of the different planets.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the beadwork.
Right.
It was
Theo and Thomas, once they arrived, they were the two youngsters. Once they arrived, they started calling these planets, which are sort of like glazed beads. So they started looking for lots of planets, and actually, when you look at them, they do look like planets, don't they? I think they're going through a spacey phase. You know how boys go through phase.
In space.
Yes, and but I think just. I'm really pleased with the conceptual part of the warp threads. This was our on-the-fly decision to add the yellow in, which I've decided is my Billy Connolly comedian. Makes me think of him. I don't know why. I do, I suppose, is that I saw a stand-up piece that he did, which was about violence in the family, and when it happens to everybody else and it's happening to you, you think it's normal.
Yes. Because you've lived with it.
Yes, and
you don't know anything.
And on the rare occasion when you talk about it, someone else has said, "Oh, well, that happens to me too." So, but then he's made a whole career feeding off that as being a comedian, and it really makes him stand out. So, yeah, that's my my Billy Connolly threads.
Okay, so the yellow ones.
The yellow ones. It just make me think of him. So I don't know. It's one of those things. I know my mind's very random.
And I think that they are going to, because of the yellow fringe here, anybody looking at the tapestry will be able to pick out the yellow threads. They're gonna pop out.
Yeah, one of the things, just from I actually said this to Dave this morning, which is I actually don't remember the artist, but I do remember going to an exhibition, and I saw this amazing painting, and as I walked up closer to it, I thought, well, that was a waste of a walk, because to me, I just felt, and this is my personal opinion, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but I hadn't gained anything by being closer. And I suppose I like pointillism for that reason, is because you see a painting from far and you have one impression. As you get closer, it evolves into something else. And so very much with that in mind, I wanted to have added detail. So you might get one impression from it being from far away, but then as you walk closer, you start noticing the extra details. Things like, for instance, the beads, the different shades of warp threads, the fact that the texture is so different. Depends on who hand wove it. Will vary a lot in the thickness of the textures. Also the subtleties of the shades.
And who spun it.
Who spun it. So to me, I wanted there to be depth of interest.
And whether it's felted or whether it's spun.
Yes.
Whether it's cotton.
Yeah. So as far as the felting, which, like we said, Julie was just really good at, took naturally to, I really wanted that to convey the concept of therapy, of having some kind of help if you've gone through some kind of trauma in your life. And part of therapy is you need to go backwards to go forwards. And the stitch I used is an overloop stitch. So we felted we haven't spun the yarn, we've actually felted the fleece, which is actually quite a destructive method. Literally, you are putting it on a pad and you're sticking needles into it. And I would imagine that that is very much like sorting out a trauma in your life, or trying to deal with a trauma in your life, is that you have to just go through some really painful experiences, but how much that can help when you get there.
And it doesn't actually feel as soft as the spun yarn either.
No, it doesn't.
It feels quite rough.
By comparison. So I just thought that was really good, using the fleece as to help us convey the concept and the metaphor. We've also done this, which some people call, we might take some photos of, we call one weaving.
Okay.
And I kind of, yeah, and I kind of think that that's, for me, as the one that's driving it creatively, is that thing where you meet people and you go, they're just really weird. But once you know about their lives, you kind of think, oh, I can see why.
Yes.
You know, which goes back to that whole thing about being kind, where you don't know what traumas people have done, and they might just have a very good veneer, and you know, they behave like in some really odd ways, but make perfect sense once you know more about them as human beings. The other decision that we have made on the tapestry, well, I've made after discussing it with Sharon, is the fact is that Sharon's arms, which are depicted reaching out for the baby, I've made them in cotton rather than fleece, and the reason for that being is that on the occasion is Sharon had information which she couldn't share. So to me, I think you're part of the scene, but you're not part of the scene. And so I wanted it to be part of the tapestry, but not part of the tapestry. So I think that works, that conveys that quite
not
nice.
part of the fabric of the
Yes.
tapestry, yes.
So yeah, using something completely different for that. The peg looming went really well.
That went very well. Shall I fetch it?
Yes, do you mind?
Okay, not at all. Yes, it's working now. It's recording.
Right, sorry, give me 5. Otherwise we're going to have a quacking cat all the time.
Okay. Okay, so this is the silk. It's piece silk, and this is our peg loom. Pass me, Michele.
Thank you, sorry, I had to just go
That's fine. Yeah.
feed the cat.
Feed the cat in the middle of everything. This is our peg loom, and this is the piece silk which we wove onto the peg loom. And Nicole, that's the piece you started with, and then Michele remembers everybody.
Then it was Jamie.
Yes.
Then
it was
Mark. Then it was Maria. Then it was Belinda. Then it was Jordan and Bettina.
Okay. So we had a bunch of people that did it, and it ended up being a nice long piece, which is going to end up being rolled and stuffed.
We're going to stuff it with a bit of extra of some of the leftover fleece that we've got, and that
all the bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces. We're not going to waste anything.
No.
So it makes it more three. Yeah, it's going to be the bed frame, the rail that goes round.
The rail for the bed frame.
Right.
Okay. So
and we need a little section over here. Yeah.
Or grey. It's in fact more grey than silver. And Michelle's going to quickly, in a nutshell, tell us what piece silk is.
So piece silk is different from normal silk. Normal silk, the silkworms are killed, so they're heated in some way before they burrow out, which is either going to be, in some places they put it on metal sheeting and then just let the sun kill them. In other places they boil them. Piece silk, what they do is they physically, before they get to that stage, because they can predict it, they actually unwind the silk and then release the insect. So nothing's killed. I happen to, yes, in the process, and I happen to have this piece of piece silk which I've hung on for years, and it was the perfect time for it to be used.
Yes, and I see, I've just noticed, Michele, that you've got some piece silk hanging at the fringe of the tapestry.
Yeah, because we want to do that bleed idea.
Yes, so it's all going to bleed from the picture. So the whole fringe is all got meaning as well. So that's also going to come at a later stage. We're going to explain that. And then we want to just talk about the beading.
Okay.
So our beading, the beading for this particular tapestry is a lot of framework, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going to frame a lot of pieces of the tapestry. So Michele had very specific instructions for the beading.
Well, it was quite. It's one of those things where I do love community art, and I've done obviously a lot of research on community art recently because I've been involved in it, but I haven't actually organised it in the same way. And so I'm trying to give everybody their own creative space, but have to keep it so that it doesn't all look like a dog's breakfast at the end of the day. And I asked Jordan if she could do some bead looming for me, which is a sort of almost a counterintuitive way of weaving, but she was up for it, and that was great. And so I gave her some frameworks, and I think there might have been a miscommunication, and I'm terrible at explaining stuff anyway. And we landed up with a different frame completely from what I was expecting. I was getting too busy colour-wise, I knew that, so I said to reduce the colour from what I had initially thought. Anyway, but she came up with this amazing design, and it's just fabulous. So yes, we're all having to emulate now to carry on with the bead looming, because it's going to be along this section over here, and she only probably did about that much of it. But she started the pattern, and it comes back to the thing is you might have a concept, but she's brought something that I wouldn't have done, which makes it feel more valuable.
Yes.
Even for me, you know, because and for us, we've lived with it for a while now.
Yes.
As an idea.
Yes.
So to me, that was a lovely surprise.
Yeah.
And just something I wasn't really expecting.
Yeah, I mean, even the Windows of Hope, they've brought something different to every single one is different. And everybody had their own little conversation while they were making it. You know, they were a bit nervous to start with, and then they got into it, and then they were going. Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, and it was lovely to see Bradley and Rachel's doing it. And
they started.
Yeah, they were the first one, and even for that matter, Sarah and Debbie. You know. And then I loved Belinda. She was just, I mean, Mark and Kay started one, and Belinda finished it off. And I think she really enjoyed the day.
She did.
Yeah, she sent us a message. Yes. So we have 4 windows.
Yes.
And we need 5.
Yes.
So this is our second take, by the way, because the first one we messed up.
Someone forgot to press the record button.
Follow my eyes. Anyway, and I really think that we need to look at going, once realising we had the 4 windows and we needed the 5th at the end of the day, because I was really knackered, I just thought it felt right to say that we sort of need to go back to origin. And I wanted Sharon to ask, she's going back to South Africa, and to perhaps look at having someone in South Africa make the 5th window of Hope.
And I have some ideas of who will be takers, who would love to be involved in this project. There's been a lot of people in South Africa who have avidly followed my Facebook posts and shared them and commented, and I think I know who those people are going to be. If you don't mind, please don't post comments on this post. Just send me a direct message if you'd like to be involved. I will bring the loom with and the alpaca, and I'll sit with you and show you what to do, and we will sit and weave a window of hope. Do you want to just hold that one up?
So this is Christopher's window of hope.
Yes, and that's how big it's going to be. It's not a big project, it's something small, but it'll be something that South Africa will have contributed towards this very international project for a very good cause. So hopefully South Africa will be involved in a small way, which will be a very meaningful thing. And I'm very, very touched.
Oh yeah, no. But to me, I think it came full circle, and that wasn't particularly decided upon on the day. We could have landed up doing 5 windows, and in fairness, I probably thought we'd be lucky if we did 2.
Yes,
but I mean, everybody was really productive,
and it just happened. It went quite quickly, I must say.
And I have to say, the other thing about the table loom, it took most of a village to get it to us, which is quite funny, because the person that advertised it on Marketplace, they didn't actually have a Facebook account. So it was advertised by their neighbour, but neither of them had a car to get to the post office.
And it was a small village.
It's a small village, no post office, but it does have a pub. So then the notice went up to the pub. They had to phone the pub landlord. He put a notice up that they need someone to take stuff. So yes, it took about half of a small village to get that little loom to us. So we can only say thank you to them. And yes, I'll tag the person in the bottom of the comments.
It was amazing. It was wonderful.
And just adds to the whole flavour of everything.
It does. Okay, and then we just want to remind everyone that this project is going to be a road trip eventually, where we are going to take it to galleries. We are going to do submissions to galleries, and
which costs money.
Submissions cost money. So if you have anything to donate for us, no matter how small it is, please don't forget we are collecting, we are doing fundraising, we are collecting money. So if you do have something to donate, please let us know. We appreciate that. And lastly, we are going to discuss dates for our next workshop, because a lot of people on Saturday said, please, we'd love to have another one. We'd love to be able to